The sound of wind, mountains, a man. He stands with his back to the people and says, "My prairie dogs. My offspring is already on the way. I have a request for him." Shouts are heard from some. "Anything at all for the great M. Godspeed. There will be payment, right?" But he continued, "He will pay you in ringing coin. He should be carrying about 10 mil. Shouts from the crowd. "10! Damn me! It will be done. By the way, Monsieur Godspeed, are you planning to rob that steel stagecoach over there? We would help. We ask only a small share of the loot." Their gazes crossed, hostile, dissatisfied. A sharp movement. "Sons of bitches, you think I can't handle it myself?" said M. Godspeed. "Not at all. I know perfectly well that you're capable of it. You're McGodspeed, the terror of the desert, ruling it for 100 years, a walking legend with untold riches, the owner of golden hands." He turned and said angrily, "If you know my strength, then why do you push your help on me? Don't be insolent. Spend my son's money however you like, but if you go after my loot, you'll join your ancestors." Someone from the crowd. "Yes, of course, forgive my insolence. M. Godspeed." "Tsk! I'll drop 5 mil to you up front. Prepare everything for my son." Bowing, people shouted, "Thank you. You're truly father of the year." "Don't be stupid. As long as my son lives, my wealth is nothing." Someone replied, "What?" "For he is coming for my soul," said Mips Godspeed, still standing with his back to the people. A field. Something is moving in the distance. Close up. The Intercontinental Central Bank of the USA. The Golden Train, IGTN 500. It rides the rails, surrounded by heavy smoke. 2 are in the cab. "Captain, is there someone on the tracks?" Captain. "What? Is it raiders?" "Well, he seems to be alone." A man stood on the tracks. The captain saw him as they approached. It's M. Godspeed." M. Godspeed saw this and said to the approaching train, "Don't even think about running. Let's have a lead dance." "You thought we were unarmed? Don't get cocky, filthy bandit. Even if this is a transport train, we'll outgun any warship." The train sped on without slowing. What that train looked like? Hard to describe in words. It had everything weapons of any kind you could want, all mounted to the train's hull with special mechanisms. Monsieur Godspeed said with a vicious smile, "Now that's more like it. That's our kind of thing. I love it when the prey joins the game." A sharp sound froze Monsieur Godspeed. "Well, well, well. So you finally came?" He turned around. "Son, so be it. I accept your challenge, but don't expect mercy. However, first business. Now is the time for revelry and robbery." He threw a glance over his shoulder. "Let's join forces for now. To become a true daredevil, it's not enough to have a hardened heart. You also need to make some trouble. M. Godspeed. We're on the verge of a unique Godspeed team performance." He shouted loudly and clearly, "Bandit Super Magnum, Gladiator, remember we are the Godspeeds," and looked straight ahead with a glassy, cold, hardened gaze. Sharp explosions, a burst of sparks and fire. 2 months later, I made it to this town. People ride unusual vehicles and talk among themselves. "Huh? Sheriff, dust is rising on the horizon. Something's moving there." Sheriff. What is that? A man? And what's that coffin with him?" The sheriff stared intently. "Damn, this heat. My throat's dry. I'm starving," said the man holding chains. "Son, you bastard. Did you decide to kill me? I'm completely dried out here." He dropped to his knees. Men on vehicles. "Buddy, did you cross the desert alone?" Man. "Yeah." "No way." Wait, before that, the exhausted, chained man. "A sip of water, and a piece of beef would really help. I've been eating whatever the desert throws at me for a whole month, from mice to cacti." But the men replied, "Look at the unit between his legs. You can see it even through the black clothes. If you look closely, hell, you don't even need to." One of the men behind handing over a bottle. "Here's water." Sheriff. "Hold on. Who are you?" Jim Godspeed, son of M. Godspeed. The offspring of M. Godspeed himself. Hey, look what's written on the coffin. M. Godspeed, the walking dead. M. Godspeed is dead, That's his coffin? The invincible one is in there. Jim. Yeah, and I sent him to heaven, and the coffin here is proof. What nonsense are you spouting? Stop talking trash. The sheriff and his men opened the coffin to check. I don't mind. I was going to lay all the cards on the table anyway. Sheriff. Damn it, it's true. They opened the coffin wider. Those are the golden hands. Strike me dead. It's Monsieur Godspeed's corpse, said someone behind. Maybe we should take the bounty for ourselves, boss, said one of the men. Boss. What? The man continued. They're offering a full 10 mil for his scalp. With that money you could drink whiskey and chase girls till the end of time. Others joined in. He killed his old man for cash. Cold-blooded like a snake. A bandit himself. Let's kill him, huh? Boss. He's barely alive and naked as a jaybird. Doesn't even have a six-shooter. The guys kept going. Don't sweat it, Sheriff. Easy prey. No one will ever know. If we dump him into those ruins. They looked down into the ravine, and that ravine was so deep that darkness burst from the earth's depths, unknown and frightening. Well then, they said, looking into the darkness, the sheriff with a grin and a snarl. Then I'll pocket the golden hands myself. The sheriff snatched the water from his partner. Here's your water. Take it. Jim stood up. I'm coming. And the sheriff and his partners continued. What if we get caught? We'll say some maniacs killed him. In the age of daredevils, that's common. Something flashed from the darkness. One of the men. What the hell? And suddenly they saw blood spraying from one of their eyes, and something began to crawl out of the abyss. Ha ha ha. Lady Fortune brought Monsieur Godspeed's corpse right to our doorstep. Money and fame, everything's ours. We didn't bust our asses for nothing. That thing from the abyss was a huge machine. The sheriff and the men screamed in fear. Rats were hiding in this hole, and suddenly the shooting started loud, deafening gunfire. They blasted everything. The shooting continued. Everything flew apart around them. Hee, the bounty is ours, and don't forget the hands. Jim, aggressively. Damn you! Hands off, you scavenger vultures. And he charged at full speed. Everything began flying in all directions. The coffin, the guns from that machine, even the men. And then more emerged from that massive machine. What the hell? How is this mummy doing that? Fill him with lead now. The shooting did not stop. He stopped armor-piercing grape shot, 105 millimeters, with just the coffin lid. Jim reached toward the coffin again. He pulled something out of it. It was a gun. He began firing it briskly. Bullets steel and solid scattered in all directions. Jim aimed, firing at his target again and again. He hit the men from the huge machine. With the coffin lid shaped like a cross, he struck one on the head. He shouted, Even with 1 foot in the grave, I'll stamp my name into your skulls. The name of the best in the West, Jim Godspeed. And with all his might he swung. The sheriff only managed to shout something incoherent. He finished the fight. In the rays of light he stood on the ruins. The sheriff lay off to the side. Just as I expected. Everyone's ready to tear each other's throats out. What a time. The desperate age of daredevils. Oh, I forgot about you. With a furious smile he glanced sideways at the sheriff, who could only bulge his eyes in fear. Hey you, old coyote with a badge, Jim addressed him. Sheriff. Yes? How can I help? I am the sheriff, after all. Jim said. That lawman academy nearby, right? Sheriff confused. Huh? You mean? Horror instantly appeared on his face. The Western States Martial Training Academy. Jim? Yeah. That one. I'm going to enroll there. Sheriff. Are you crazy? That academy is for the elite, for the offspring of marshals and rangers, and you're the son of the most notorious bandit of all time. The students themselves will tear you apart alive. Forget it. But Jim's words only intrigued him more. I know. For people like me, they have a special quota, namely. This shocked the sheriff, and he waited in horror for the continuation. Anyone can enroll by proving they are worthy of being a marshal. And a marshal's job is to hunt bandits, no matter who they are. Sheriff. Wait. You. Killed your bandit father and dragged that coffin across the desert just to enroll in the Marshal Academy? The sheriff realized in horror. Jim, well, not exactly. But if that's how you see it, so be it. One thing's certain. I will become a marshal. The sheriff, still in shock. So you're planning to break into that elite academy, to grab the 10 mil bounty and rub shoulders with rich kids, trying to rise up, washing yourself clean of bandit life. Jim calmly. Guess all you want. But know this, I don't give a damn about the bounty. This only shocked the sheriff more. What? Jim. Sending bandits to hell is routine work for a marshal. There's no talk of rewards. The sheriff was in despair, and so I made it to the city, and received permission to enroll in the Marshal Training Academy. A week later, against the backdrop of mountains, Jim smiled playfully. Everything that goes in your mouth is good for you, even if it's mice. Behind him, the remains of those same mice were visible. He dressed with special preparation of his gear, securing it to his belt. He threw on a jacket, sharply tugging it down so it covered everything hidden in the belt. His boots were stuffed with all kinds of things too. He adjusted his hat, and here he was in all his glory. Well then, time to gnaw on the granite of knowledge, Jim said cheerfully. He walked, everything on him clanking. At the academy entrance he was met by a man on some kind of robot. Hey cowboy, you're that Jimmy Godspeed everyone in the prairie's howling about, right? You've got balls coming here. A bandit's son has no business in our parts. He said this, but Jim walked on calmly. Jim, this academy is for lawkeepers, even green ones, so consider this a warning. The man got angry. Better watch your hide so by sunset it doesn't get perforated. That man. We're all tough guys at the Western Marshal Academy, with guns at the ready, he said, watching closely. Jim, got it. Then pass along my regards, he said with a grin. It's not just their colts that smoke at their belts, Jim said, flicking aside his jacket to show what he had, and so he entered the corridor. The number of people surprised him. Oof! He crossed gazes with people dressed in Western style, with weapons and hats. Someone called after Jim. You okay? And the only thing he could say was, ugh, and he kept walking. Jim. These coyotes stare at me like I'm the last bottle of whiskey in the saloon. Gives me chills. I've never been surrounded by such a crowd, he said grimly with a girl walking beside him. Suddenly it burst out of him. What a warm welcome. He spread his arms and shouted nervously. What warm? It's boiling hatred. They'd burn you alive sooner than welcome you. He ran into some brutes. What do you want? The brutes. Allow me to introduce myself. Name's Signet Dillon. 8th year. 42 years old. Son of the great Marshal Vanquished Dillon. And then that brute leaned in, baring his teeth. Take your nag back to the canyons, that's an order, or you're done for. But this only amused Jim. And if I don't, he said, as if pushing them with his energy. The same girl walking beside him suddenly and unexpectedly struck one of them right in that spot, making him double over in pain and surprise. While he was screaming, the girl grabbed Jim. This guy's from Class 1C. I'll take him there. Jim only managed to shout, Who are you anyway? She yelled back, I'm Agera Dutch Sheffer. I came to meet you. Class 1C. Agera shoved Jim. Go in there. Throwing him behind a desk, she continued, That's it. Welcome to Class C. But the brutes followed them. Come out, vulture's son. Let's see whose bullet's sharper. A man stopped them. Easy, gentlemen. I'm afraid you're forbidden to enter this classroom. I must ask you to return. They exchanged looks and grins, and Signet Dillon said, Damn, looks like a goody two-shoes, but his hand's on the holster. Brutes. What did you say, Greenhorn? Blow the dust off the trail. He replied, Sorry, but I can't. The brutes continued, So you're siding with this dirty wolf too. Maybe we'll send you to the other side as well. The man only smiled. Huh. Signet. Hey, what do we do with this guy, huh? Suddenly a voice behind them. Well, well. Upperclassmen causing trouble. In my class? They turned around. It's Mira Abigail Black. She may be a freshman, but she's got the fastest draw. With one shot she can drop 6 at once. She walked. And she's the daughter of the great Marshal Commander Century Black. If we insult her, our fathers will be thrown out of service. They trembled. She spoke. Ah, you know me so well. And yet, you want to pick on my classmate, she asked, looking straight at them. The brutes turned and walked away. Not at all, Miss Black. Who knew this was your class? Someone in the class whispered. Look, they tucked their tails and ran, so eager to kick out that bandit's son, and they deflated like balloons in front of authority. But one couldn't hold back. Miss Black, he doesn't belong here. He's a bandit's son, a scoundrel who also killed his own father. As students of the Marshal Academy, we must uphold justice and oppose bandits. Mira. Correct. Our duty. Rather the Marshal's oath. Remind me, what does the first article say? He looked at her in surprise. Huh? Exactly, said Mira. Marshals oppose any criminal, the brute continued. She replied, We oppose any bandit. That's exactly what Godspeed did. What? He shouted. Even if his actions were reprehensible and inhumane. Someone interrupted. Easy, damn it, she continued. They fulfilled the Marshal's oath. The Academy deemed that sufficient grounds for his admission. That's why we, Class 1C, welcomed him with open arms. So, now that everything is in its place, I kindly ask you to leave, Mira concluded. Phew, escaped her. Agera patting her shoulder. Well done, Mira. And Jim could only say in wild surprise, Thanks. She turned and her gaze pierced Jim dead on. She stood close to him, looming over his soul. I'll cover for you since we're in the same boat, but are you worth it? He replied, Want to check? She answered without hesitation, even flirtatiously. I do. Stand up. Let's see who draws faster, you or me. Jim. Just enrolled and already fighting the fastest gun here. Mira, encouraging. Don't be afraid, I'm just testing your skills. I'll protect you even if you lose, though I won't be happy about it. Jim, playing along. You really want this? Once I draw, I won't hold back. Mira continued. Go ahead. Me too. They exchanged looks. Suddenly Jim noticed something. What's that? Bulletproof training plates. They're needed so bullets don't hit bystanders. Plus, they measure the time it takes for the bullet to hit the target. With them, it'll be clear who's faster. Just so you know, aim at the plates behind me. Just shift your aim a bit, Mira said. The whole class excitedly picked up the idea. Well, well, well. Agera. Huh? What? She continued. Mira, if he really is the psycho they say he is, he'll definitely shoot you in the head. Mira. Don't worry, Miss Dutch. In the age of lawlessness, if you get shot, so be it. Their dialogue was interrupted by a guy from their class. If he shoots you, Miss Black, I'll riddle him myself. Jim grinning. Hehehe, magnificent. How kind of you, young lady of House Black. You're very confident. Haha. Mira snapped back. Being sarcastic, or trying to throw me off? No, I'm serious, Jim said. Mira, take a step forward. He did, and they stood face to face, their gazes crossed, her green eyes staring straight into his soul. Jim couldn't resist. You know, when we're nose to nose, I see a real hot thing. Mira, you think your pathetic flirting will work on me? Idiot! Fire! They jerked suddenly. Mira thought to herself, He's fast. Could it be... Shots. Mira shouted, So who's faster? She looked at the training plates. Tick-tock, tick-tock. And finally, ding. Jim shouted sharply, Damn it all! My Colt spat the wrong way. They looked utterly shocked. Only one bullet hit the target, and it was Lady Black's bullet. Was he even aiming? Everyone stood astonished. Jim flustered. Well, the thing is, I've never been that close to a girl before, and she's such a looker, and smells so good, so I got flustered. Idiot! Pa ha ha ha! No, it was different. I saw everything. My eyes, Agera Dutch's eyes. You can't fool us. Jimmy was faster than Mira, and then he spun his gun, said Agera. Agera replayed the memory. His fired bullet exactly followed Miss Black's bullet trajectory. It merged with it. How is that even possible? I can hardly believe my eyes. Agera looked at everyone in amazement. Mira. Idiot or not? What can you do? I'll have to protect him. Fine, we'll sort it out later. Agera. This guy, who is he? He scares me. Jim only smirked. God, how creepy. Then the bell rang. Oh boy, class has started. Man, this generation belongs to desperate daredevils, and in this era, guns stand equal with gods. And among these revered gods stand the super magnums. This man was a teacher. He showed that very magnum. This is the deadliest iron ever to kiss a human palm, and it holds immense power. Anyone who can wield one of these babies wasted their time studying here. You'd have skills enough to rival an Iowa-class marshal. But don't get ahead of the train, he told the class. He aimed the magnum at the class. If any of you fires one of these now, the recoil will smear you across the prairie. He fired. The whole class flinched. One wasn't so lucky. He continued, You need training, and only a few of you will unlock the power sleeping within humanity. Then, when the super magnum accepts you, you can become marshals. Teacher, is it true that this exists in the academy? The strongest super magnum in the world? Jim asked. The teacher replied, It used to be a secret, but I see everyone knows now. Yes, it's true, and the first magnum used by the very first marshal. The king of marshals is here. This super magnum that devastated the continent, and its name is Excalibur. It is entombed deep within the academy in a 4,000-ton steel frame. Hardly any of you could fire it, and we won't risk someone blowing the whole country apart. Teacher, no one has fired it since the first marshal. There aren't even any surviving witnesses, and despite its existence being known, no living person dares to touch it. Jim thought to himself, That's exactly what brought me here, the king's magnum Excalibur. I will obtain it. Fairly and justly, it will be mine, and everyone will acknowledge it. That's why I enrolled in the academy. Hehehehehe. Oh yes, I didn't come here to loaf around. Soon you'll all acknowledge me. Jim smirked. And yet, I feel sorry for those who stood by my side. I'm a criminal's son, and I must play my role. The academy and its vast grounds in the background. He laughed as if he were completely alone, and Agera watched him closely. Agera in her thoughts. So it's come to this. For the sake of my honor as a cadet marshal, I'll use my exceptional eyesight and see right through you. Nothing will escape me. Jimmy Godspeed, your skills, your true face, your goal. I, Agera Dutch, will figure it all out. She continued to stare without looking away. Oh, he fell asleep. Useless student. Her train of thought was interrupted by the teacher tossing a piece of chalk at her. Dutch, eyes on the board. Listen when I speak. They are in the cafeteria. Shouts are heard. Food's up. We'll wipe it out now. Jim at the counter. Water's free, right? Yes, the woman answered. He. Then I'll take 5 gallons. They poured water into a mug like a barrel. He took many gulps at once, drinking at least half. He slammed the gallon on the table loudly. This greatly surprised Agera, and Jim asked, Well? She looked at him suspiciously, almost angrily, thinking, I knew it, just as I thought. Agera said, Jimmy, first you got flustered because of your closeness to Mira. A thought flashed in his head immediately. Because of her face and smell, she continued, and then you fired the other way. You were lying, weren't you? This seemed to offend Jim. Why would you think that? I was just really flustered back then, she said in amazement. Because now a lady is sitting next to you, smelling just as pleasant, and you're not embarrassed at all. He couldn't hold it and spat out the water. You're a lady? Well, formally, yes. You're a girl. Biologically. But compared to Mira, you're just a runt. This slightly embarrassed Agera. All she could say was, Huh? Wild West, desert, clear weather. I am studying here now. at the Western States Martial Training Academy. Jim, hey shorty, why are you gnawing on dry rations alone? Agera enthusiastically, because I love buns, and I also adore banana jam. Jim, you've got kiddie tastes too. Agera replied coldly, you're the kid. For your information, I'm 36 and I'm considered quite a charming lady. In Jim's head flashed, what, and by whom? But he kept silent and let her finish, by almost everyone here over 30. Mira is the youngest, she's 20. She was accepted early. He looked at her in surprise. Wow! Agera interrupted. Jimmy, you aimed your gun the other way because you didn't want to aim at Mira, right? But he replied with a grin. My reasons are none of your business. Agera, I don't care whose son you are. I want to understand you as a person. So please tell me, what were you thinking at that moment? She said, opening her big eyes wide. Jim replied with the same grin. Well, since we're in the same class, that means we're on the same side of the barricades. To hell with all these skill checks, I won't point a gun at her. My barrel spits led only toward bandits. But if her enemies were in front of me, I wouldn't hesitate to pull the trigger. He finished, throwing his arm over the chair. This struck Agera. You're so cool. Huh? Escaped Jim. She suddenly kissed him. Jim flew back, fell on his back, and rolled over. What the hell are you doing, huh? He shouted indignantly. Agera, now with a look almost in love. Cool down, cowboy. It's just a spark from the campfire. I just decided to reward you a little. Jim screamed in his head. Is she out of her mind? She didn't hesitate at all, and that was my first kiss. But then the brute's shouts interrupted. Damn it! Had enough. Always covering for your own, huh? I can smell bandit tricks from a mile away. Looks like the wolf cub didn't stray far from the wolf. Jim, seeing him. You again. Brute. I'll never accept you as one of us. Time to throw your ass out of here. Jimmy isn't reaching for his gun. I'll have to protect him, Agera thought, and immediately said, Hey sir, let's just... Puff! And a bullet came through the glass, hitting that man right in the head. Jim. The shot came at an angle from outside the building, judging by the sound, about 700 meters. The shooter's at the academy's main gate. He sprang into motion. Agera. Watch out, sniper. Jim. Agera, down. Another shot Agera flies. Jim catches her and shouts, Agera. Mira rushes over. Dutch! She pulls her from Jim's arms. Look at me. It's okay. She's alive. Call Casper from the med unit now. Casper ran up quickly. Miss Black, I'll take it from here. Mira. Casper. Dutch is covered in blood. But most of the blood isn't mine. I saw the bullet flying. And before I could react, Jimmy, fast as a rattlesnake, lightning fast, shot his hand out. I can hardly believe it, because the bullet was flying at the speed of sound, and Jimmy's hand caught up to it. Agera saw the bullet pierce Jimmy's hand. The bullet went through his palm, lost its trajectory, and didn't hit me. The bullet only barely passed by, brushing my hair, and blood sprayed around from Jimmy's palm. Because of me, Jimmy's right hand is now useless. That very right hand he was supposed to hold a revolver with, and protect everyone like a marshal. Jim. I'll stake one hand, damn it. Mira. Everyone down. They're shooting from below. We're under attack. Sirens wailed around them. And there was a whole horde, like vultures over carrion. Like ants, so many of them riding motorcycles with automatic weapons, shooting and raising clouds of dust. Damn me, that's the Wrangler gang. Wait, Wrangler, that gang with 100 cutthroats, the guards shouted from cover. And suddenly, fire! Gunfire. They fired with a dull sound. Thud! All their bullets hit the windows and walls. Jim. Ha! We're not green sucklings. Let's light them up, people. And return fire began from the building. Bullets flew straight at the targets, at those unknown men. Their leader. Damn it! So that's how these pampered elite pups from the academy shoot. Speaking of the elite, that's Mira Abigail Black. Her confident gaze locked onto them. She pulled a pistol from the holster strapped to her thigh. She began firing, unconcerned with the bullets flying at her. She hit straight in the heads. Their leader saw it. She sent 6 at once to meet the Undertaker. He was furious, and Mira handled the weapon masterfully. It was clear she was a professional. Ba-ba-ba-boom! Mira stared intently. The leader shouted, "Did you really think your lousy lead spit would send me to the grave? You can't pierce my 50mm multi-layer armor. Roll out our deadly weapon, underground steam tank T-150. And suddenly a huge drill began emerging from the ground. 70-inch siege mortar, fire, and the entire tank surfaced, enormous so big the leader was barely visible next to it. Explosions with even greater force slammed into the academy walls. Screams filled the air. Many academy students were blown into the air, screaming. But the gang kept getting closer and closer. He jumped off his bike and ran, shouting, "Good job!" Bursting into the building, he commanded, "Now level everything here. If anyone survives, use them as fuel for the steam engine. And will handle the main prize." Screams of terror continued, and he walked. Only drops of blood dripped from his fingers. Jim walked through the ruins. Fortune smiled on me earlier than I bet on her. While everyone's wagging their tails in this mess, I'll hit the jackpot. He didn't notice Agera watching him from the side, disappointed. She was lost in thought. "Jimmy, are you on the side of good or evil? You sacrificed your precious right hand to save me, and now in the middle of the raid you're sneaking alone into the machine room deep within the academy. Could it be you came here to steal it? The king's magnum Excalibur. But why would he need it? I can't figure you out," she continued, watching. "As long as my eyes can see, I, Agera Dutch, will never give up. I'll expose you. I swear by my eyes." Her eyes were wet but furious. A voice. Well, look who showed up. M's blood. Jim, without emotion. "Yeah, so, you're Wrangler. Outside?" It kept thundering mercilessly. He looked at his opponent, who replied, "May I die on a post with a noose? You're the spitting image of your father." Jim, "Pardon?" The gang leader replied, "Ah, right, you don't know me, but I've heard of you. I was told." He continued with a grin. "Help Jimmy steal the magnum. Those were your father's last words to me," he sneered. This surprised Jim slightly. Agera heard everything and blurted out, "What? Did his father really say that?" His father stood in memory, giving his last speech. "For he is coming for my soul. When he enrolls in the academy, I'll already be dead. Wrangler, my dog. As soon as he succeeds, stage a raid. Stir up chaos there so Jimmy can steal the magnum in the confusion. Let him pay you with the bounty on my head. The new blood of the Godspeeds will finally claim the magnum, and our 1,000-year dream will see the light, like a gallows at dawn." "Jimmy, you've heard those tales about M's dream, right?" he asked, looming over Jim. Jim replied, "Yeah, at least once." Agera watched it all, and it shocked her. Wrangler. He wanted to wipe the USA off the face of the earth, to devastate the continent. The speech seemed to flatter him. "And give the reins of the world to cutthroats." He reveled in his words. Agera spoke only in her head, but the voices seemed to burst out. Is this Jimmy's goal? So he was a bandit all along? And Wrangler couldn't stop. Lawlessness will triumph over the world, and we'll raise this dump called the Academy too. Jim simply stood silently in the light of the magnum. Wrangler. "Come on, M's son. Grab the king's magnum and throw us 5 mil in green." Jimmy. "Only thing is, I don't have a cent on me." This threw Wrangler off. "Huh? What are you talking about? Wait, there's no bounty? What card is this pup trying to pull?" Jim. "Like a man with a star on his chest should. I don't dirty my hands with bounty money." Agera seemed to understand his plan. Wrangler flinched. Jim continued. "I am not like my father," he said with a grin. He flung open his jacket swiftly. "Wrangler. His right hand is wounded, and my body is covered by 50mm multi-layer armor. His 6-shooter won't chew through my hide, you brainless snot, spawn of M." Jim began firing, waving the pistol at incredible speed. Agera remained absorbed, thinking. I saw everything. He drew with his left hand. All 6 shots rang out in 10 milliseconds, at unbelievable speed. The bullets flew 80 centimeters apart, in a perfectly straight line. All bullets hit the mark, right in the center of the body. He poured them all into one spot. A little more and the armor would have cracked, but it held. "So what, pup?" Wrangler taunted. His hand was bloody. He pulled out another pistol with that same bloody hand. "What, your finger's still working? But that wound's no joke, you won't even click the trigger. There's no one in the world who could endure such pain." Wrangler drew his weapon. "Jim, I just need to fire before the pain hits. A shot!" His hand bled profusely, but he fired. Agira watched. Even wounded, Jimmy's bullets again flew 80 centimeters apart, hitting one point. The fourth bullet pierced the armor, and the last two obliterated Wrangler's heart, which led to the explosion of the steam engine in his body. Boom! A violent explosion, and Jim stood watching it. Wrangler's cronies didn't even have time to react. They immediately shouted, "That's it! Get him! We'll take the boss's loot and the pup too." They charged. Jim fired, but suddenly a shot from behind called, calculated. "Jim." "Agira, what a surprise." She replied, "This time I covered you. By the honor of a marshal, I always pay my debts." Jim simply showed class in response. Wrangler lay wheezing when a sharp step sounded beside him. The step didn't stop. It continued, stomping down exactly on the mark left by the bullet. Wrangler couldn't contain his fear before. Jimmy Godspeed. Jim. "The super magnum kept here belongs to the marshal, the king of all marshals. The king's body was scattered across the world along with his power, and the golden hands fell into Miss Godspeed's grasp." Wrangler's eyes were filled with terror, fear, and helplessness before Jimmy. He continued, "I will become a marshal. I'll gather all the king's parts and revive his power." Jim delivered his final speech. "With this power, I'll end the age of cutthroats. That is my dream. Error in the frame." He pressed down harder. Once, a city flourished on this land. What was that town called? He turned to Agira. She replied, "You've got nothing but sand in your head. It was Grammarly." "Right, Grammarly. A stronghold where law wasn't an empty word among the dusty prairies, and you scum dared to attack it. For that you will pay, and the payment will be as bloody as canyon dust. Dust and explosions everywhere." Jim reached out his hand. "Let the king's great hands ignite the fire in my blood." Something strange began to happen. 75 kilometers north of Grammarly, at the resting place of M. Godspeed. A being? The coffin exploded, golden hands flying out. The explosion was like a flash, bright, massive, and extremely powerful. Those hands seemed to teleport and attach themselves to Jim's arms. He writhed in pain. "They're like devouring my arms. This is the king's power. It burns like a brand on flesh." They attached tighter and tighter. Now he stood before Wrangler in a new form. Wrangler, lying there, screamed, "Ah! Stop! I'm not guilty. Your father planned it all. I just followed orders. You're the son of the most dangerous bandit. What right do you have to judge me under the law?" Jim answered instantly, "Since you've got one foot in the Valley of Shadows, I'll tell you a small secret. Your name has long been burned into my memory. And one more thing. I am not McGodspeed's son." He swung at Wrangler, who shouted in shock, "What?" Even Agira was stunned. His blow landed and crushed Wrangler. Agira quietly from the side. "Jimmy, if you're not Monsieur Godspeed's son, then who are you? Tell me." Jim barely turned and simply said, "I already told you. I'm Jimmy Godspeed. Acknowledge me, magnum of the first Marshal King." He grabbed something. A sharp sound. Another explosion. Agira. Unbelievable. The magnum acknowledged Jimmy. That means he's already so strong that even the magnum became his. "Jimmy, you're not leaving the academy, are you? You said you'd end the age of cutthroats. It turned out to be the grip of a revolver." Jim. "Yeah, that's the plan." Agira. "Ah, so you're leaving." Jim replied, "For now, I'm a student of the academy, which means I still have unsettled accounts." Jim continued his train of thought. "Those vultures who attacked our people are still roaming free, and I haven't avenged your wound yet. They'll be the magnum's first targets." Agira's eyes twitched. "Jim, with this power, I'll protect my camp, my people. That's my final debt to the saloon, where I drank from the mug of knowledge. Agera through tears. Jimmy, you're going alone against a whole gang for your people. How cool are you? No, wait, that's... Cease, stop. But Jim no longer heard her and ran off at tremendous speed. He stood at the cliff. Everyone was shocked. Those same Academy rebels. Huh? The newbie? That Godspeed. The demon's son. Look. Where did he get that magnum? Mira was with them and shouted too. Jimmy! Jimmy! Cutthroats! Your names are already on gravestones, but remember one last thing. This is the academy where Jimmy Godspeed studied. And at that moment he began firing. People shouted, Holy hell, he got the king's magnum. Is he really going to fire it? Is he nuts? Firing that thing? Mira. What an idiot. He seriously plans to shoot? Agera. Jimmy, stop. That's a magnum. Ah! He fired. Everything flew apart in a massive shockwave. He hit the drill dead on. His hands held the magnum. Not bad singing, King's magnum. And he kept firing. Guys somewhere behind screamed, Thunder and lightning, he's reloading again. The recoil on that thing is insane. And he fired another explosion. Only ruins remained at the spot Jim aimed at. He spun the magnum with flair, and holstered it on his tool belt. Now he had that magnum in his arsenal too. Jim. So, teachers, did you enjoy the show? Now you see what my skills are worth. This stirred an uproar, but Jim continued. Looks like I'm a thorn in everyone's side here. Oh well, I've got nothing left to do in this academy. Consider this my farewell gift. Agera saw it. It can't be. I thought Jimmy would join us, but he's leaving us. She found a reason to get his attention. Jimmy, do you even know how that gun works? Every shot from that magnum takes a year of the shooter's life. Jim turned to her in confusion. What? Seriously? He turned in panic. Agera, you fired 6 times. We all tried to stop you, and that's 6 years gone. Jim. Oops. Others. He was sleeping in class. How would he know? Mira, palm to face. I should have woken him. Jim panicked. Agera thought, he's really shocked. But almost immediately. Wow, he got over it fast. Jimmy. Pfft, whatever. A few years of life. Not that high a price. I protected my people. No point sweating the small stuff. Agera. Jimmy, you're really a battle-hardened wolf. A true knight of justice. Jimmy, you're not thinking of setting out alone, are you? You'll need partners, won't you? Jim replied sharply. No, a lone gunman walks his own path. This seemed to sting Agera slightly. She answered, I see. But in her thoughts, and I thought we were in the same boat. And now Jimmy's ditching us. That hurts. But fine, I just need to become stronger. Next time we meet, I'll be the one who saves you, Jimmy. This inner monologue filled Agera with enthusiasm. Suddenly she plopped down. Jim turned. Agera, you okay there? Agera shouted back, Don't worry. I'll get stronger, you'll see. On the very edge of the sun-scorched desert, in the dusty little town of Grammarly, I, Jimmy Godspeed, enrolled in the Wild West Martial Training Academy, and finally, obtained the King's Magnum along with the right to graduate. Construction site, the academy office nearby. They all sat at a table, a conversation going on between them. That pup thinks he's hot shit. I'm against this. We can't let him take the King's Magnum, voices echoed. He's the offspring of the most dangerous bandit in these lands. Another replied, I'll break him like a wild mustang, and if he's stubborn, I'll bring him back by force. A sharp step and a stomp. Surprise froze on the faces of those arguing. A silhouette of Jimmy Godspeed appeared in the doorway. With a screech, he opened the door, breaking it. He walked forward. They kept staring in amazement. The golden hands of Monsieur Godspeed. They watched the magnum hanging at his belt. They continued whispering. And the King's Magnum, Excalibur. I can't believe he broke the seal. Jim's gaze fixed on them. He walked toward them without stopping. Agera walked beside him. They jumped up, sitting on the table, shocking everyone with their behavior. Jimmy. Respected teachers, you know what I'm getting at. Let's skip the nonsense and get straight to business. Put my marshal badge on the table. I've proven I'm no small fry, right? Jimmy smirked. Suddenly he noticed Agera. Agera, what winds blew you here? She replied, I've got my own game here, cowboy. One opponent swallowed. First, you were acknowledged by the super magnum, so formally you've met the graduation requirements. There's no arguing that, Godspeed, but this is about the King's Magnum. Jim frowned. The man continued. It's insanely powerful, an exception to the rules. Whether to recognize you as a marshal requires careful discussion. Someone chimed in, yes, we need to discuss everything. Another added, more importantly, you yourself aren't ready to be a marshal. You need to learn much more than just shooting. Others agreed, or do you plan to solve everything with the magnum? That won't work. So give it up. And those hands of yours too. Exactly, great idea. Those hands are a mark of lawlessness, unfit for a marshal. We know better what you need for proper service. We'll teach you everything. That's the right way. To become a marshal, you must follow the rules. Someone nodded along. Yes, right. Hey. Jimmy. You're all flapping your tongues, but you're talking nonsense and missing the point. I thought you'd be at least a bit reasonable. What a disappointment. Keep your lectures to yourselves. I don't need them. He jumped down from the table and walked away.